If there's anything that's guaranteed in life, it's death, taxes, and sequels to moderately acclaimed video games. Parasite Eve 1 was a surprising hit. Reviewed well, people liked it, selling around 2 million copies, which for 1998 is some good numbers. Not Final Fantasy VII good, but what was. Still making the top 50 games for the system. Because of that, and the urge to make something in the budding survival horror genre, a sequel was greenlit. Early in development, they looked at other games that were popular in the space, and got to work creating a badass new protagonist. Kyle Madigan, a suave guy with a silent sig. The cool guy's gun of the 90s. All this makes sense. Both endings of the first game left very little room for Aya, the first game's playable heroine, to return. So Aya became the new protagonist. Whether because Lara Croft was big or survival horror favors female leads, I don't know. That means we need to do a little bit of retconning. MIST, Mitochondria Investigation and Suppression Team, was founded after the Manhattan incident. Its purpose is to track down and eliminate any NMCs in the wild. Aya left the police and joined up with MIST, being one of the few people alive who knows what threat they pose. This Aya is a bit more mature. If I didn't know any better, I think you'd have something against children. Just reset the range, Pierce. Okie dokie. She prefers to work alone these days, still containing the power of neo-mitochondria inside. Despite that, her colleagues seem to like her well enough. Pierce, the on-site tech man. Jody, keeping everyone supplied in both bullets and spirits. And Rupert, on the warpath for revenge. You won't need to remember their names, although it's nice to have some friendly faces on your side. I feel like I need to prime you before we go into the video proper. If there's one thing I will praise throughout the whole thing, it will be the presentation. Now, I am screwing with that a little with emulation. I've bumped up the resolution for cleaner backgrounds. Not something I would do these days. But even that to serve to prove how high quality these character models are for a PS1 game. This is Squaresoft riding a money train. We're at the turn of the millennium. Everything's popping off. Being recognized on the world stage for having some of the best looking CG in the industry. They even just made a new movie department called Square Pictures, developing a Final Fantasy movie. But that's not all. With the PS2 coming very soon, they are still producing technical milestones on old hardware with Vagrant Story. Other studios would have pursued a sequel to Parasite Eve with a little more tact. Maybe iterating on what the original did. But no. Squaresoft bursts into the room, bleeding nose and all, and yells, "Let's put a fully animated tracking POV multimedia playable cutscene as our intro to the first gameplay zone." Also, let them backtrack too, cause why not? I am almost 26 years removed from when this happened, and even now I'm still impressed. And the fact the camera tracks perfectly as well is the cherry on top. This whole area is known as Akropolis Tower, which as far as I can tell is not a real place. Searching online just gets you the fandom page for it. There's been sightings of NMC at the top floor. SWAT tried to sweep the building, but nobody can get in touch with them. No, I have no clue why the helicopter crashed, don't ask questions. Say goodbye to New York, as well as that grounded tone. Dog beam! I mean, Aya was zooming at 50 miles per hour blasting reanimated dinosaurs? I guess I mean that the fiction was rooted in real life locations and science. We'll come back to the visuals throughout the video as I think it is a consistent high that I gawked at during my entire playthrough. Otherwise we would be here for 30 minutes gushing over cockroaches. Holy shit, you can see a reflection in the window. I also don't think I need content warnings this time around. It's certainly tamer than its predecessor, though we still have blood, a small amount of body horror, and an FMV transformation sequence in the first 10 minutes. So, viewer discretion is advised. With all that, let's begin. Ooh, okay, we are starting on a good foot here. The tone has been set in seconds, minus Aya blurting out loud tutorials. Down near the hall, the last living SWAT member gives us a key. A Civ is locked away in a cafe for her own safety. Trying to aid her lets us understand why the SWAT were blindsided so easily. How to ruin a good scene 101. Horse. Akropolis Tower is a vertical slice of the entire game. Something that would have been right at home on a demo disc. Featuring exploration, combat, nooks and crannies. A solidly paced chunk of content. And can I just say, it's nice to have real puzzles back. I saw this on the notice board and my brain lit up like a Christmas tree. Alright, that's another under the hood change for Parasite Eve 2. You can now investigate more in the environment. This is a natural evolution of Square's fixed cameras. Think Final Fantasy 7 to 8. Going from lots of safe overhead angles, fitting as much as they can onto the frame. And then in 8, right into the complete confidence of cinematic angles, trying to catch your eye with perspective shifts. Now that we're closer to the floor, we can see what the wall looks like, the clutter of a table. And since the player wants to know if anything useful might be in this newly added detail, we get more text describing what we can see. Good games use this to characterize who we play. All this extra flavor helps Aya the character stand out so much more. She's definitely gone through some things, and that comes through with her internal narration. Not cold, but emotionally distant. Not fully in control of her own body. The mitochondria in her cells maintain an ideal host. She's no longer aging, at least not visibly. Something she hopes is not forever. All this danger has given her a darker sense of humor too. She finds a corpse on top of a water tower. He must have been here for a while. The flies must love the stench, though I'm not one to talk. I need a shower. All that said, Aya is still a good moral person deep down. Rooting through the local 7-Eleven, we find some product placement. I'm not showing you what brand, they didn't pay me. Interacting with the register afterwards, Aya leaves some cash on the counter as payment. Everyone here is dead. Nobody's been here in a week. An incredibly fruitless gesture. Still the right thing to do, I guess. There's a caveat to all this investigating. A lot of points have multiple dialogue boxes for checking it a second time. Maybe even a third, a fourth, sometimes fifth. So much fun or interesting tidbits can be missed through no fault of your own. Or even items. Why is there shotgun shells in the dumpster? It's not enough to sour the experience, as I expect players used to this gameplay style have been here before. And nothing vital is tucked away in a corner. Tucked away in a corner. Keeping an eye out in the tower nets us a submachine gun, a grenade pistol, and an armored vest. We can't keep these because Aya stealing his wrong Brea will return them afterwards. But they will serve us well during our investigation. Wait, do you hear that? Gunshots that aren't mine? We'll see about that. Freeze, FBI! Our only ally is down. It's up to us to track down that mysterious soldier. Before that, curious players might notice a door not shown on the map, and I wonder what's behind it. Cypher here. Bomb planted. Making my retreat. Oh, that's bad. Somebody doesn't want evidence laying around. Wait, someone doesn't want evidence laying around? Chasing the soldier upwards to the helipad, we engage in a boss fight all about losing ground. It's not that hard. Just fill in full of holes and you're golden. Pretty stressful for new players though, so it gets a pass. The target escapes. Rupert catches up and finds a detonator on the floor. Hey, do you hear that? Oh god, I think it's gonna... It's about to... Huh, never mind, false alarm I guess. I miss my Wi-Fi. Back at home base and grasping for leads, your boss hands us a newspaper. Aliens ate my spaghetti? Looks like some farmers down south are having a problem with cattle mutation. I don't know about you, but that's no cow I've ever seen before. We also checked the evidence we pulled from that woman who changed into a monster. Turns out it had sand in it. Desert sand, to be precise. Very curious. Pack your bags. We're going to the Nevada desert. Whew, a ghost town has more people than this place. I don't know how many pre-rendered games have a contemporary desert town, but it's gotta be underserved. And such a palate whiplash from the tower. A man-made bastion of civility. Greek statues surrounded by water features. All forgotten in the droning noise of the stubborn nook of humanity. This has to be my favorite theme out of the whole game. Bar none. A heavy guitar repeats the same progression over and over again. What sounds like broken clocks pan left to right. A place lost to the mundanity of time. A tomb you might also become part of. I'll talk about the soundtrack in more detail later. Suffice to say, when it changes an hour later, I miss it dearly. It's not long until we find Douglas, a rough gentleman with the most extra sigh I've ever seen in written form. Him and his dog might be the only survivors. Women transforming into creatures? Ravenous people-faced dogs? Nothing a shotgun can't handle. Aya wants to check the area, but Douglas refuses. I've booby-trapped the whole area. Oh, this is my southern accent. Can't have you tripping over mines, darling. The fact the Dryfield is still more infested than Castlevania, despite that, is worrying.
What?
He hands Aya a key to the motel while he does his rounds. Oh, nice room. It even has a balcony with a view of... There's a man on the water tower. Hey. Hi. My name's Kyle. Literally don't care. Oh. I'm kinda surrounded by monsters? Okay, let me climb the most dangerous ladder I have seen in my life, and I'll save you. Thanks. Hey, what's your name? Don't care, Kyle. Fights aren't a binary thing anymore. You'll know when danger is around, whether it's thrusted on you, or you pick the fight yourself. So what's new? Under the surface, it might shock you to learn that not too much has changed, though everything has been tweaked enough that that feeling and intent has shifted quite a bit. Let's start with equipment, unless you need a primer on how guns work. It's a simple point-and-click interface, really. Point, shoot, goodbye torso. Now that the ATB is gone, Aya is in full control of when and where to fire. How a fight starts is now more in your command. None of this good-natured competitive spirit. Moving to your marks is a thing of the past. Me gun, you die. That also opens up how viable these weapons can be. Guns are color-coded for your convenience. Blue is your reliable handguns, basic ammo of which can be found in bulk for free. Yellows are your shotguns, having that much needed crowd control. Wish they were wider, but I'll take explosive. Assault rifles, aka the M4, is punchy, sporting multiple attachments for tailor-made death dealing. Green is magnums, indigo for grenades, etc, etc. The big takeaway is Aya has slots on her armor that dictates what she can bring into battle. The moment the game goes ba-dump, you lose access to your whole inventory. Choosing what's important to have on hand once the fight starts is critical for your survival. Even weapons can be attached, though practically you're only bringing 2 guns into a fight. Which, honestly, even that is a godsend. The variety and most importantly, versatility it brings compared to the first game is greatly appreciated. Minus the headaches of separately loading ammo into unequipped weapons. It will catch you out. It caught me out. Twice, 3 times. If there was anything that would change the whole feeling about combat, it would be how the fixed camera has changed. You enter a new room, press the Find Enemy button, and... okay, now what? Once the battle is started, the map screen button disables. So you have to feel out the area while being acutely aware that something wants to chomp off your ankles. Despite the difficulty being on the low end, it's tense not understanding the situation from a single camera angle. A lot of areas feel like you need to push past that natural hesitation to see what you're fighting. Nobody wants to be blindsided in the breeding room. Naturally, enemies are designed for this viewport. If a room is cramped, it'll have a lot of critters, unsettling sounds, and a complete lack of ranged enemies in the early game. When things try and be more involved, things get messy. A common enemy is this horse. Once it knows you're there, it'll set up a charge. Dodge it, and you get a few shots in. Bait it into a wall instead, and the thing is basically done for. Sometimes you're gonna have to move between screens to set up a bait, if there's more baddies to worry about. And that's fine. It's a downside of pre-renders. Lots of loading between cuts. The disorientating nature of a cut-heavy area makes them really awkward though. Like the first arena you encounter them in. Dart under the balcony and have fun orientating yourself. It really shows that when I come back here later and have to fight 2 of them, I avoid it like the plague. This is why I think even if the dev team knew nothing about Resident Evil, or looked at the industry as a whole, Parasite Eve 2 would have ended up this way regardless. Assuming they didn't go full 3D. Nothing becomes this awkward later on, but it's certainly telling that the boss on Disc 2 has special camera angles just to telegraph a single attack that would have been frustrating to deal with without them. It's a good thing these guys have become more vocal than before. It takes a bit to learn what sounds come from what. Since sometimes a fight is literally off-screen, it's good practice to put the effort in. Congratulations! You won the fight! Here's your money and experience. Don't spend it all in one place. Rewards? I thought this was a survival horror. What? No, it's an RPG shooter. What gave you that impression? Well, it looks like Resident Evil. Uh-huh. And it sounds like Resident Evil, yeah, okay. That's all I got. Cool. Hey, is this Resident Evil? Yes? Get out. When your basis for character movement is tank controls, there's only so many things you can build on top of. Parasite energy makes a return, magic by any other name. And rather than Aya simply leveling up after fights, XP is a currency we can freely spend on whatever we wish. If we open up the menu, navigate to Parasite... Can I quickly complain about the aesthetic design of these? I have no problem with the color. It's a fetching shade of green. It's the font and the framing. It's supposed to invoke like an ID card or a driving license, right? That would explain Aya's picture in the corner. But the window sizes and the large, bold font just look mismatched in a way I can't explain. Maybe it's the texture behind it all. Parasite Eve 1's menus were slightly styled programmer art, and it looks so much better. It doesn't help that the Battle UI follows suit for green marble solidarity, green for breakfast, green for dinner, green bacon and eggs. But I do not like green bacon and eggs. Anyway, Aya spells. We have a good mix, all neatly split into elements that invoke the intended effect. Fire for pure offense, water is healing, wind doles out status effects, and earth gives you buffs. I don't think she had any damaging spells before? Well, sorry, you had energy shot, But it felt lacking. Why spend my entire bot to do a big chunk of damage when I could go faster and shoot more bullets? Historians will never know. It's nice that we now have what is essentially build variants. I saw Parasite Eve's 2 version of Energy Shot, a tiny amount of MP for a DPS buff, making every bullet count more, and went all in. If I play my cards right, the awards after a fight reimbursed me afterwards, making it literally a free damage bonus. It pays to shop around and find things you like. Anything iron unlocks adds to our MP pool to cast more spells with. Specialize into a particular element and it unlocks a 3rd spell for you to purchase. You can make the game more difficult if you don't take anything offensive, however. Late game, there's these bloody slimes that can only be killed with magic, which sucks, I admit. Thankfully, once you understand they exist, splashing into something like Necrosis fixes that problem for not much cost. Well, how much XP do you get then? Well, how much do you want? See, this is where the RPG part shows its head. Every time you complete an objective for story progression, empty rooms on the map get repopulated. And it's not just a little bit, the whole thing gets painted in red. These are all optional fights that reward all the same. If you choose to clear out an area every time this happens, Io will be loaded with XP, shop currency, and items, easing the difficulty curve somewhat. Somewhat? I'm lying in this script, it makes it fucking easy. Do you hear that? Ma'am? Ma'am, don't worry, I'll help you. Oh, okay, ma'am? The door is locked, but thankfully the next door over has a secret hole behind the wardrobe. We're gonna ignore the implications of that, but unfortunately it's bolted to the wall. I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. Okay, ma'am, I'm here to save you. Scratch that, someone wrote a riddle in this window. This is clearly more important. Man, it's been 3 days. I hope she's okay. Oh good, you're still alive. I should have come earlier. Our rematch with the soldier commences. Again, it's nothing complicated. Just the game testing you, making sure you understand the core fundamentals. It's you, him, trapped in a box. Use his telegraphs and sounds to avoid damage, keep your distance, and it'll soon be over. Nelly's on the back foot, Aya begins to... Kyle, is that you? Would you mind pointing that gun somewhere else? Aya, being way more forgiving than I would have been, asks where the soldier went. Who? The guy with the gunblade. Squall? Never mind. While you were out cold, he was chatting with Douglas. Looks like all the monsters are coming from a nearby shelter. It was bought up by some private military firm. Imported everything, including fertilizer. Odd thing for the desert. Let's go there right now. Well, shit. Time to find some new wheels. Why don't we do a little job for fuel? I got a comment on nighttime Dryfield. I've never been in a hot climate. I live in gloomy Wales.
Wales?
Though even I can imagine the sickly evenings, lit up like a fluorescent Christmas tree. All the man-made lights harshly flickering, bugs bumping into them, while moonlight beams through the windows. I said Square was cash money. Wanna see how cash money? Ignoring the fact that CGI looks a little thin and her hands don't look right, the quality for this whole scene on the PS1 is insane. They truly lived in their own bubble. The following shot might not be up to par, but the consequences are apparent very quickly. Boss fights are fine. They feel more like something you would get out of survival horror. These are tests of reactions and resources. Just because you have a magic bar doesn't mean it's not something to manage. Just like PE1, stubbornly using it as a safety net for healing rather than the powerful toolbox it is, will make you hemorrhage items and ammo. Now there's definitely one or two bosses that are pretty spongy. Spongy being the operative word there. This one, it's really easy to dodge with its rather dumb audio cue. I'm in no peril, but here I am. 5 minutes into something that should have taken 2. The big boy might be down, but the destruction he caused is still with us. Again, other games would have shooed us away from Dryfield. Square, we're on a money train that will never end, soft. Just make more pre-renders. Even this room you have no reason to ever enter again has damaged walls on the inside. Madness. Anyway, Aya and Kyle get ready to depart the shelter. Enter Disc 2. So, you put in the disc, and the king of the dog monster shows up. Cool setup for an upcoming boss, quality notwithstanding. There's no way these guys can keep up with a car though, right? Okay, black screen. Driving noises? Wait, why are we firing? Are we in danger? Okay, a shot of the gate. Still a gate. What? I just teleported to the other side. They jumped the fence! Who did? Oh no, Kyle is injured? Let me help you! Shit, watch out, Kyle is back to finish the job! Ah! Ignoring the frustration of being killed after a disc swap with no save point, this whole section feels rushed. Like the game was finished. They went back through the game, realized they never separated Aya and Kyle, and threw this in. Even then, I imagine they just arrived normally and split up naturally. Or Kyle fell through this bridge. It's all just bizarre. The showdown with the supposed King of Beasts is also video game of all time. It's not long until you enter the shelter, and it is a daunting section the first time through. New enemies get introduced that are immune to PE attacks. The whole place is abandoned with no signs of struggle, bloodshed, or even a mess. It's like they all just disappeared. The only save point you know exists is back where you came from. The intrigue and tension compounds with the ambient music. It should come as no surprise that Yoko Shimomura is absent from Parasite Eve 2, now solo composed by Naoshi Mitsuda. I must admit, I was not familiar with them. Looking them up and seeing the words, considers the 5 Final Fantasy XI expansions his life's work, certainly has some gravitas to it. Reading interviews, Mitsuda talks about how he focuses on making tracks that work for a game's scene, rather than for outside listening. This style definitely has advantages for slower paced games like this. Some of the tracks use what sound like environmental sounds to push a certain mood. And if one of those don't measure up, then all you have is forgettable tension music, right? The strange thing is, and I feel like this is such a weird problem to have, games got too much music. So, Akropolis Tower, an hour-long sequence had 3 music tracks. A oh shit, a tense exploration, and a rise in tension. All 3 of these are good tracks, with the exploration being my favourite. Now carry that into Dryfield, and the cracks begin to form. The first theme, Ghost Town, I've already shown my affection for it, and that love gets trampled on by the real Dryfield theme. Yeah, so there's not much to take from this. At best, it could represent now that we know the situation, the job's mundanity kicks in as we get to work investigating. I'm not a fan. The nighttime Dryfield is fine. Feels like I'm gonna get abducted at any moment. And this continues into the shelter and beyond. I feel that the OST has clear winners, but we just keep adding. I'm usually an advocate for more over quality, but the last couple of reviews have shown the flaws in that opinion. At least when variety takes a hit. That all being said, I have to give it to Masuda. The Mists theme is great. Taking out a phase, a track that represents a place of safety to Aya, surrounded by people she trusts. And turn it into a slower, ambient piece now that her work is a lot more clandestine, is genuinely amazing. With that, I think we've covered all the music in the game. What about the battle music? Ah, yes, well, the boss tracks are pretty okay. The game tends to favor the lumbering bosses, so the themes are either plodding or oppressive. No, like the random encounters. Surely that has music, right? Okay, I gotta go. See you for the next video where I review Legend of Alonda! Coward! So the battle theme is... They all mostly start with this rising and falling beat. Then it goes into the environmental theme for these monsters. And I'll be honest with you, I did not notice it changed until the shelter where it becomes... good? Look man, this game has so much combat in it, okay? Especially if you're treating it like an RPG, more XP equals easier game. So you hear the first 20 seconds of every track for 9 hours and I'm kinda sick of them all, to be honest with you. I like this game for the record, right? Going for a full map clear, or just sometimes doing that, really tests your patience. Nothing changes. You go into a room, press square, shoot wherever you lock onto, maybe cast a spell, get rewards, move on to next room. During actual exploration, you have tension of the unknown, dwindling resources, searching for the oasis in form of a save point. None of that is here in a retread. Save your sanity and don't clear the red, please. I did, and it took me half a year to finally 100% it. Aya picks through the shelter trying to learn what she can, and solving some puzzles that are the bane of overthinkers. Why did you line numbers across the sewer? And why are they even numbers? That just so happen to match the number of legs of rats, roaches, and spiders. What do you mean the answer is 18? We learn this is definitely where the ANMCs are being made. That's artificial neo-mitochondrial creature, of course. But where did the genetic material come from? Oh. We did leave blood in a few places, huh? And I wouldn't put it past Maeda to keep a vial of it, considering he turned her DNA into bullets. So, all of these creatures are my... That's not how that works, girl, but I get it. Let's not dwell. A phone call? Hey, Aya, I've been reading this book called Gaslighting and Negging for Dummies. Cut to the chase, Kyle. Come up to the command center. You got family here. Family? Big un, huh? What's inside? A ANMC, containing a vector virus. Once it hatches, it will become a flying menace, infecting people with neo-mitochondria. Even if people survive, it will fundamentally change our DNA. Children will inherit it. Goodbye natural selection. Hello mitochondria. Can't blow it up either, otherwise the virus will get out. Now, the fucked up thing, it has a sort of cockpit, waiting for a pilot. And somewhere in this shelter is such a person. We gotta stop them. Agreed. In order to reach the pilot, we have to shut down the generator, creating a shield around them. So down the elevator we go. We never did solve why they needed compost in a desert. Oh. Welcome to Neo-Ark, a man-made climate, constructed to be a home for the ANMCs. And what's worse, it was built to have visitors! Multiple exhibits with voice-over narration explaining what this type of ANMC is, its ecology, what it feeds on, and how it reproduces. Might I remind you that these creatures were once human, and now they are zoo animals, put on display for... What? Are they selling them as weapons? Clinical testing? Fucking pets? Don't think about it. Here's a goddamn sliding tile puzzle, created for your enjoyment. Make sure you stop at the gift shop. Push past that whiplash. For a second, whiplash. The thing powering the barrier? They are not electrical generators. These are biological. People morphed into living factories of power. Absolutely defenseless. Well, almost. Destroy the life support system, and do what has to be done. And should you investigate the area that belonged to the creature, Aya remarks that she hears its last thoughts. Normally I condense or paraphrase things like this for pace reasons, but here I'll read the whole thing out. Gentle days, free from pain, automatic injections of comfort. So happy was I, so useful, it's not my fault. I'm helping everyone. I don't want to disappear, to die. A second interact gives you Aya's thoughts. An organism living for happiness, or a machine fearing death? A vague existence that is betwixt and between, neither here nor there. Peel back the benign surface to find a festering tumor of greed. If you do nothing, you will lose nothing, a craven way to live. If you can really call that life. I, for one, cannot. I really like Aya's characterization. She's a good person at her core. Disregarding real-life politics for a second here, her wanting to serve in the New York police felt genuine. If Daniel or Maeda were the ones with neo-mitochondria, I don't think we'll be calling it the New York City incident. Now living with the memories of everything that happened, discovering that her powers might not let her have a natural death. Becoming more disconnected and, honestly, sometimes being a downer. She sees right through these people. A life free of strife and burden, whether they believed in the cause is irrelevant. Aya, on the other hand, will make sure her life has a purpose. Barrier down. It's time to deal with this so-called pilot. Say hello to Eve, a clone of Aya. This does not come out of nowhere. Aya's been having what looks like flashbacks during the game, with a few things pointing towards it being shared memories instead. The laboratory filled with failed clones on life support. It's a decently fun twist. Maybe not 10 out of 10, but it explains why the security systems was targeting the ANMCs, as she has been piloting them to keep us safe from the staff. After the scene, most of them will now lie dormant, the connection severed. Or it could have been. You see, we have an attract movie when you boot up the game. Lots of fun imagery of things to come, mysterious characters. Ooh. And during this, they just fucking drop this bomb. Sure, it's not a 100% spoiler, though once you see the suit or hear talk of a pilot, you connect the dots pretty quick. I can't remember if I brought this up in the PE1 video, but that too just lays bare what should have been a fun, pulpy twist for a boss fight. Hiya, are you sure she's not dangerous? Her name is Eve. It was on the helmet. She's innocent. I can feel it. And the helmet? That was a brainwave amplifier. They were using it as a medium to control the ANMCs. Taught her fear. Heightened it for self-preservation. They really thought they could control mitochondria. You know, I bet those ANMCs in the Akropolis weren't just escaping the shelter. It was a demonstration. Hello, we're back. God, you wouldn't think cells could be so egotistical. Wait, Kyle, how do you know that? Know what? How did you know about the ANMCs at the Akropolis? Come on! Don't worry, I have a gas mask! Why do I fall for the red flags? From here, the game goes full speed ahead. Eve gets kidnapped in literally 3 screens. The shelter is now infested with a new enemy type, the golems. Definitely more imposing than dangerous. Once you learn their tails, it's easy to bully them. Tank controls be damned. It's the rare cases they catch you off guard with a type combo. Still not that difficult, to be honest. However, at this point of the game, it's an incredibly welcome change of pace. We chase them into the parking lot where we heroically steal a car. Or, eventually, steal one. Leave the shelter and finally see the sun rise. It seems we've reached a bad ending. Unless... the US Army storms the perimeter and easily dispatches the golems. They don't seem to pose a threat to anyone. I assume they were a super soldier program? Then some guys swoop in with M4s win 1v1. Not a good look. The White House. Oh, this is getting serious. A general is reporting to the president. Sir, things are getting out of hand. We need to use the super space death cannon. Will there be casualties? Yes, sir. And I have to be the one to pull the trigger. Correct, Mr. President. Do it. Did you find anyone along with the soldiers? No, ma'am. Nobody matching your description. Did you sweep the shelter? We tried, but a barrier is formed near the north side. What kind of barrier? One that sets us on fire, ma'am. Figures. May I re-enter the shelter? You have the authority. Now, unless you desperately need to do some shopping, the path forward is basically a straight line. The military have welded shut access to most of the shelter. Stock up on Ringer solutions and let's see the end. The soldier is alive, and has a new friend next to him. He reveals he does not have much time left. The shelter has fallen and all their plans for this base has resulted in failure. But the cocoon? That will be his victory. Why are you doing this? Kyle, tell the woman. Our organization is devoted to saving the human race. At no other time has a single species been this dominant. It's unhealthy, we're killing ourselves. So ANMCs are our answer, turning humans into a self-sustaining food chain, hunting each other. It's cruel, but a hell of a lot better than this comforting slide into apathy. The people at the top don't care about us, preaching good vibes and equality. Or worse, delusional, sound and fury. ANMCs shows how ugly these people are on the inside. I mean, you've seen them. You kidnapped these people! Did we? I think you have her all twisted, Aya. They volunteered. Willing to throw their humanity for a chance at eternal life. If anything, they found us. Man, it's always funny when games make some easy dunk statements like, humans transforming the environment to suit our needs might be bad. Which is true, and to say we've done a good job at it would be lying. Our planet is encroaching on rapid climate change. Even the best optimists can only agree that, hey, we won't all die, we just have to spend some time underground for a few thousand years. With great characters and stories using our distaste for our nomad roots that birthed us as a basis. Whether that's Alawi's life is motion, not peace, or Krea's apathy is death. I know it's technically not Krea, okay? Follow me. But of course, this is a video game, and these are bad guys, so yeah, we found some broken people and turned them into living power plants to fund our underground tourist location. Hell, if a PS1 game lets me bring up KOTOR 2, you're doing something right. Wrap it up, Kyle. Yes, sir. As a child, I felt trapped in this world, nowhere to go. Anytime I did things my way, I was criticized, estranged. I learned to do things like everyone else, and things changed. It's working! Time to put on your mask. Kyle reveals to be a double agent. I knew that Parasite Eve 2 had multiple endings, and as I'm trudging through the endgame drama, that thought in the back of my mind made it much more interesting. Oh no, did I fuck up something early in the game? I mean, yes, I did, but we're not going to talk about that yet. This is Cypher. We have injured, requesting immediate evacuation. I repeat. Hey, Aya? This is Cypher. We need a helicopter. Eve, you can talk? Why are the stars so close? Eve fell down our screen, along with that thing in the cocoon. Better rescue her. Why is it always babies? I hope you brought a lot of ammo. These last fights are not that tough, especially if you've done some serious exploring around. I entered this arena with an item that halved all damage received, another one doubled my damage, comboed with a max leveled antibody and energy shot, and if that's not enough, I brought in around 5 elixirs. It was only a matter of time rather than skill. The big baby has multiple parts to produce different attacks. Taking out the shoulders, the split up poison is recommended to make room for dodging. We don't have many enemies with multiple parts to attack. I wish we had more of that. Pump that sucker full of every firefly round you bought, and it goes down easy enough. Eve, we're on our way! Man, sure was a good thing she didn't fall into the mitochondrial goop. You think we only have one boss fight? This is Parasite Eve! This form feels right at home with the original, minus the camera cuts and the toned down boss speed. A creature traveling through space to catch the player unaware, attacks to punish passivity, slow moving projectiles handing out random status effects, all pressuring you on a tiny strip of arena. Again, I was so well stocked thanks to me clearing out so much of the map. I will admit the sheer health of the boss made me sweat. Just push on a little longer and... Oh, okay. Kyle finds the unconscious Aya at the bottom of the silo. Eve is okay. The big bad is defeated. As the adrenaline leaves her system, knowing everything will be fine, she tries to admit something to Kyle before passing out. Aya and Eve are found by the army and rescued. Roll credits. In terms of wrapping things up, it did okay. Bad guys defeated, room for a sequel with Kyle in the wild, Eve can go on to be a normal girl. Yeah, when you talked about endings, I was expecting some nihilistic crap about the futility of humanity or something. It was surprisingly positive. Shame it was the worst one. Worst what? Ending. What? I got the bad ending. How? What could have changed? Well, you remember this guy, Pierce? I showed him like once or twice. He died. He did? Mm-hmm. And Jody, the lady who runs the mist shop, she died too. Okay, but what would have that changed? Well, our boss, Baldwin, would have been found as an insider for the organization that runs the shelter. But only if you read the note in the silo command room that Pierce leaves you. Assuming you handed him bags of ice 4 hours ago. I should start from the beginning, huh? Just like the first game, Parasite Eve 2 was built to be replayed, now with extra modes. And rather than it just being easier and easier, which is still here with replay mode, we now have bounty mode, late game enemies sprinkled through the game world, scavenger mode, changing the shop's economy and relying heavily on item drops. I don't like how these just boost the difficulty on top of the modifiers. I feel there was a chance to pick and choose for a player-defined experience. I say this not because those modes are too difficult. Rather, replay mode, the closest analog to New Game Plus, is just easy mode. Enemies have less health, you take less damage. It's already busted thanks to your old spells being purchasable in shops. Why touch the difficulty after completion? How strange. Now thankfully the other endings don't require a bonus dungeon like Parasite Eve 1 did. No raiding Area 1 to discover Eve was an alien all along. Instead, every ending, better than bad, hinges on two things. After the rematch with a soldier, Dryfield becomes night. A full moon is out. Exploring the room you fought in, checking the window has Aya remark on something Maeda once said. Nights in a full moon in Japan are called the 15th night. A cursory Google search brings up Tsukimi, a festival honoring the moon. Unless I'm being an ignorant gaijin, something about 15th night being a common name for it feels off? Like the localizers worked real hard to make it sound good rather than correct. If I'm wrong, please let me know. So that's the first thing you have to discover. The second is examining this power box in the shelter's sewers. I did not find this on my first go around and I'm not really sure why. Looking at the footage, Kyle was on screen. And I guess I was so mad about it, I blanked everything else out. If you interact with the box, you learn it's for the Full Moon Gate, and it prompts you for a number. Please note, This is 2 rooms away from the other number puzzle, the rats, spiders, and roaches thing. So unless you catch the earlier piece of information, or have a passing interest in Parasite Eve's country of origin, the random numbers in the environment might throw you off. Put 2 and 2 together, and surprise, surprise, the gate connects to Dryfield. This is vital for getting the best ending. On the one hand, it's easy and a little understandable to get angry about this sort of thing. How was I supposed to know about the window? The only way to get the good ending is to interact with literally everything. Made slightly worse that the other window in that house is part of a 5-step riddle to get an overpowered item. However, I would be remiss to mention Symphony of the Night or any other game that's designed to be replayable. A curious player, once prompted with a strange out-of-place item, would question its existence. Castlevania with the rings, and Parasite Eve with the full moon gate. Unlocking secrets in games that already felt like full experience was very novel at the time. No such thing as the PlayStation's Game Pass competing for your time. If you're anything like me, you might have gotten games once every few months, digging through the bargain bin at game shops. God, one week, I was so bored, I 100%ed Devil May Cry 2. Both discs, mind you. Everyone thinks they know that game, but did you fight the permanent devil triggerfish that was invisible? Underwater? That's all to say, it's very of its time. To call it out for just that would be a bad look. Step back into the night's air to find Flint, Douglas's dog. Another character that has the potential to die. I haven't seen it in one of my playthroughs. Surprisingly, you just have to take too long in the motel boss fight. I could verify that, but... No. No. I'm good, thanks. Follow the good boy to the water tower to find... Pierce. Hey, I'm here to... save you. You're a little beat up. Let me find you something. Wait, I have something for you. Pierce, I'm not taking that. You sure? It unlocks armor with quickfire and HP recovery. Fine. Don't tunnel vision on your new fancy treasure. This is another point of failure for the best ending. During your daytime exploration, you may have found this ice dispenser. Grab a bag of it and hand it to Pierce so he doesn't die off screen. Again. Take too long and it will turn into a bag of water. Apparently failing the whole side quest, so be careful. Now, Pierce will be inside the shelter with us, replacing Kyle in quite a few scenes. All standard up to a certain point. Once the soldier kidnaps Eve, you need to book it to the silo where the cocoon is. During the arc, Aya lost contact with Pierce, so it's not unreasonable to check up with him. Looking at the phone gives you a note. Someone's been leaking data from Mist to this facility, using it to tune the experiments. Then I found out that our boss... And then the message ends there. It's like I'm paraphrasing, but literally. Now, before you do anything, pick up that phone and call home base. Jody will pick up, and Aya will spill the beans. She will, in turn, inform Rupert and the others while making sure she's safe. That's 2 people who died off-screen saved. This will lead to the downfall of Baldwin and reveal the corruption that leads all the way to the top. I wish Baldwin had more in the story. Thankfully, he does come off a bit shady if you save the game decently enough. Unlike Parasite Eve 1, when you call home base, someone picks up and has a chat with you, which I really like. If you're paying attention, you can tell something went wrong during your playthrough. Pierce goes dark, and Jody has to be the one to pick up as Baldwin is just not in the office a few times. Even hunters working for the shelter, or just the tech being used, is brought up. There's a vending machine in the facility. This vending machine checks over Aya, registers her to the system, and prints shotgun shells. Now why would you have that next to the golem arm switching machines, So to continue this timeline, we now meet Jody on site. Talk about all that Baldwin stuff. Time to fight the final boss again. Nothing really changes before credits to indicate you might be getting a better ending. It's all contained after the strange Aya fall. Oh, hello Kyle. We pass out. Oh, this is new. We've ordered the state to clean up their own mess. There were a few casualties. Not sure who died, but okay. The bad guys surely have other bases. The world might find out we have a super space cannon. Wait, they don't know? Something our agent might still be alive, track him down. We need to tie up all loose ends. Roll credits? That felt inconsequential. That's because this time I got the normal ending. Failing any of the steps for the good end gives you this. To tell you the truth, it just feels like a lead into a possible Parasite Eve 3. And you tell me I failed a step somewhere? Where? Well, Pierce died. When? How? You left him in the freezer. Also, this soldier died too. That's what the casualty was. This guy. A faceless nobody? Okay, I can accept not checking up on Pierce being a fail state. That makes sense. He's a plot character, we've met him before. But this guy was fine? All he had to do was walk out. Well, he was temporarily blind, so on the way out he fell into this pit. And how do you stop that, pray tell? Well, you find a teddy bear along with the bad guy's bike. That turns out to be Eve's bear. So if you save Flint, he shows up at the shelter with a bottle of water, you hand him the bear, and he leads you to Eve. But I know where Eve is. Yes, now follow Flint as he sort of goes the right way until you meet the blind guy again. Flint will escort him out of the shelter. This in turn will change the White House cutscene. Now nobody knows anything about the shelter. USA allies won't suspect the super space cannon. The state of Nevada won't go bankrupt trying to cover up the super space cannon. And Kyle is still at large. Okay, fine. Whatever. Let's bring the dog into a place filled with super soldiers and monster human hybrids just so a guy, the guy, can walk out of here. I hope Flint knows how to drive stick, otherwise car crash will be in his fatality report. I understand giving players enough times they'll try weird and wild shit to get different results. I have some personal history finding things in the before internet time too. What? What are you looking at me for? It just really irks me that the input and output don't seem related. Aya knows where Eve is. Most doors in the shelter are sealed, and we have the make sure Pierce is safe check for a 100% ending. Saving the soldier just feels they wanted to give Flint survival to pay off more, and gave it too much weight. I wonder if in an earlier draft Flint helped you find Pierce instead. Maybe he took his scarf from the car or something. Saving everyone adds an epilogue after the president's scene. Aya recounts what happened to everyone. Rupert is rooting out the corruption inside of Mist. Pierce teams up with Maeda to help people with mitochondrial problems, natural or artificial. It seems evolution is coming one way or another, and they formed an organization to help people. And Kyle, well, nobody knows what really happened to him. Ooh, extra CGI! Even Aya visit the Natural History Museum, which has become very sci-fi in the last 2 years. Must have renovated after the dinosaur attacks. Eve lost her powers after the incident, and is now attending school. A happy ending for all but Aya. Her red flag never came back. You know, I didn't think I'd have much to say about Parasite Eve 2. I was expecting most of the talk to be about the change in presentation and how that affected combat, and that's certainly a bulk of the review. But then I found things I liked in the soundtrack. Aya as a character grew on me more and more. I started making a stupid headcanon as to why she falls for Kyle. Cause let me be real honest, I hated Kyle and his 2000s by-the-book male lead writing. Even he grew on me. Then we go into the puzzles, the things I think it does well. I know my friends who I make these for will never play the game, so let's give a condensed play-by-play with some humor sprinkled in, and then there's 2 types of endings. How do you get those? I just kept writing about how I felt. Parasite Eve 2 is interesting. Adding on to a logical sequel for the first game, with both technology, Square's growing talent, and the current market trends, This game was inevitable, in my opinion. Do I think it's a good sequel? It sits at the middle point between action of the former, while treading lightly towards survival horror. If you beat the games a few times, it unlocks scavenger mode. Shops hardly stock anything, resources need to be found in the environment. They clearly thought about going deeper into survival. While in its current form, Parasite Eve 2 is simply a slower action RPG. I get the disappointment from the fans. Parasite Eve 1 is this top-down dungeon crawler with shmup mechanics? The only game I can think of that's vaguely close to this is an indie game in the works called Parabellum 45 Bloodhound. That's a name. And it certainly looks the part, but even that takes cues from other pre-rendered games style-wise. Maybe more of a Suda 51 vibe? Suffice to say, I'm very excited for it. A super late update. It's a good thing that I take 1 billion years to make these things now. That's just a thing we do. It looks like someone's gone and said, fine, I'll do it myself. Parasite Mutant is now being handled by a studio I've never heard anything of. I'm sure they're fine, I'm just not familiar with their work. Looks very anime. And the production quality of the trailer isn't amazing. The camera clips into things. It's clearly like an early version. But man, it looks like someone just took the combat of Parasite Eve 1 and said, screw it, make it again. Could be good. Parasite Eve 2 is a fine game by itself, worth going through if you played the first, and that sentiment seems to be the same from the fans. Thing is, if you ask them about Third Birthday, they respond, there is no Parasite Eve 3. Character assassination ruins the series, emblematic of late 2000s Square Enix. Aya's Other M. I've only heard talk of this game, and I'm gonna keep it that way. I am very good at avoiding video games though I want to, until the time I decide to dive into it. If the fans are to be believed, they should have appreciated Parasite Eve 2 while they had the chance. Hi, and welcome to the end of the video, where I rapidly approach H-Bomber Guy's upload schedule. Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. Life got busy. I wish I could spin you a grand conspiracy against me, like mailmen leaving pipe bombs in my letterbox. But no, other things took priority. Add that on to longer and, I think, higher quality videos, and things just take forever to make. I do think going forward, I'm just gonna stop trying to give estimates. I've failed every goal in recent memory. They'll come out when they come out. I'll try not to drop off the face of the planet next time though. No promises. This video is a bit closer to my Dragon Quarter review, with some notable changes, and I want feedback on that. I'm not going to give you specifics, because I don't want to lead the comments. Just if something felt different and you liked it or disliked it, let me know. The other thing is, I'm starting to hit the limits of what my setup can handle. I've done everything on my shortlist that I've wanted to review, though I can't do some obvious targets because of tech reasons. This isn't an appeal to give me support, okay? Please. I just need you to understand that this is the reality I'm working with. I still have some obvious targets left though. For the short term, don't worry. What else is on the list? I doubt there'll be a Games Up video this year. I've barely played anything that's not Final Fantasy XIV. Looking at the list of completed games, it's just Bomb Rush, Cyberpunk, and Silent Hill. It's real hard to string a video along with just those 2 video games. Or am I gonna say, one goes fast, the other one spooked me, I'll try and get that Breath of Fire video out in the next decade. I'll see what I can do. But most importantly, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.